In this tutorial, we will see how to validate the input data which is coming through our request in the application. So let's get started. So what we'll have to do is we'll first have to add a dependency in our form. So this is the dependency that we will add. It is provided by the Spring framework itself. Post which we will go and let's create another API over here. Let's declare a get API. Let's assume that we are getting a name in our API, and let's say a number which is nothing but the age of the user, and we say since this is a path variable in the request, so I'm going to use the annotation path variable over here and map the name field coming in the variable name. And similarly, there's another path variable called age, which I'm going to map to an, let's say, an integer called age, right? So let's say we do say welcome now. Let's try run it to see whether this API is running and how it's behaving right now. Yeah, so now the application is up and running. So let's say I do greet user, or let's say I say username slash 100, right? So this is the output that we were expecting. Welcome user, you are 100 years old, right? So let's say this was the input we provided to the API, but now I want to have certain kind of validations over it. So for that, what I will do, I will mark my controller with an annotation called validated. Because of this annotation, to make use of this annotation, we have added this dependency in our form. And once the controller is marked with the @validated, then what we have to do, we have to use few annotations with the fields that we want to validate. So for example, let's say I want to validate the name. Now, what kind of validations do I want? I want, let's say, I want to say that size of this particular name must not exceed certain number of characters. So for that, what I will do, there's this size annotations provided by JavaX validation framework, and I will say max equal to, let's say, 5. So that means that if more than 5 characters are coming in the input, then the validation will fail and the user won't be given the output that he's expecting. Along with that, I can either use a validation on a single field, or I can put a validation on the multiple fields as well. So now let's add validation over here as well. And for this, if I say positive number or a zero number, let's say it is positive, right? So now let's run our application again. Yes, it's up and running. So now let's say if I say Robocop slash 20, right? And Robocop is of length 7. The validation should fail. Yeah, see, you have the 500 error on this page, and if I go over here in the logs, there's some exception trace that has happened, and if I go and check here, you will see nested exception is Java X validation constraint violation exception. A constraint has failed with greet user dot name. That means the method name dot the variable name field size must be between 0 and 5. Yeah, that's why this has failed. Now let's say if I give the name to be within the limit. Let's say I give it Sai and 20. Yeah, welcome Sai, you are 20 years old, because this is fulfilling the constraints that we have put on API. Now let's say if I try to provide the age in a negative number, let's say -5, you will again see a exception page over here. And if we go back to the logs, here you will see the greet user.age must be greater than 0. That is what we were expecting, and that is what the validation that we have added. That is, the age has to be a positive number. So this is how you can use the validations on your APIs for the input which is coming in. So that's all in this video. Let me know if you want to know anything else about this. Thank you. See you in my next